right. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the world's most exciting classroom. My name is Joe Grabowski, and I'll be your host for today. We've got a lot to catch up on, and we have a busy event coming up today. So the first thing we need to do is take a look at our map. If you visit at any time DARWIN200.com, you can see where the Oosterschelde and the Darwin 200 team are, well, right now, or tomorrow, or the day after that. So I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. There we go. So we are in the Atlantic Ocean. If I back out a little bit, you can see the ground we've covered in the last few months. It wasn't too long ago. We were in South Africa. We then made our way to St. Helena, to Ascension. And then if we zoom in, you can see we passed Cape Verde, which we stopped there on the way back, way back around August, September 2023. And now we are on our way to the Azores, and you can see how close we are. We are not too far away. I imagine sometime early next week, we are going to arrive on the islands. We'll have our final group of Darwin leaders come and join us in the field. I can't believe it's been almost 2 years. This is the last stop on the journey because the next destination will be this shot across this piece of the Atlantic back to Falmouth, where Charles Darwin ended his voyage of the Beagle after 5 years. We are doing the voyage in 2 years, but it has been an absolutely incredible time. In between then and now, we'll still have several more world's most exciting classroom events. We will reconnect with the ship in the Azores. We should be able to get some live action from the Azores and get some connections with the ship, some more video from the ship as well. Because if you've been with us the last few weeks, you know that our Starlink units are no longer functioning. They've been working amazing for the last 2 years. We've been sending out these little video and picture updates along the way, but you can see they stopped right about here. This is where we lost the units, both our maritime unit and our land unit. I guess we've just used them too much. We've put them through too much salt water and ocean action and dragging them around on land. And now they are no longer cooperating. So today's event, we're going to have a really cool guest speaker join us. And some of you may remember Marcelo from way, way back when we crossed the Atlantic back in 2023. And we made our way, it was around November, I think, 2023, to Rio de Janeiro. And we worked with some amazing conservation projects. I'm going to bring myself back onto the screen here because we're done with our map. And we spent time with Marcelo and his team in Tijuca National Park, which is a pretty amazing park. It really is kind of a city park. It's surrounded by millions and millions of people in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. And this forest was replanted by humans right in the heart of Brazil's second largest city, but it was an empty forest. So along with his team, Marcelo, who's a Brazilian biologist and the executive director of Refauna, which is dedicated to restoring Atlantic forest remnants through native wildlife translocations. So his team have been reintroducing native species back into Tijuca National Park, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So I'm going to grab Marcelo from backstage. Hi, Marcelo, how are you?
Hello, Joe. I'm fine. Good morning for everyone. I'm here from Rio de Janeiro, and it's amazing to be here and to show a little bit about our work.
Yeah, excellent. Marcelo, it's so great to have you. It was one of my highlights of chasing the Darwin 200 around the world was my time in Rio and getting to visit your team and see the howler monkeys, the tortoises, and learn about the amazing work you're doing in Tijuca National Park. So I'm excited to share this with students today.
Okay. Can I show my presentation?
Yeah, if you bring it up to the front, I'll pop it up onto the screen.
Okay. I'm going to put here.
Yep. Here it comes.
Is everything okay?
Looks great, Marcelo. You can take over for a bit.
Oh.
Yeah, okay. It looks good, Marcelo.
Perfect. So, well, my name is Marcelo. Kent Redford is a conservation biologist that defined this concept. He talked in this.
Hey, Marcelo.
Luisa, as you enter in a forest and you see a lot of trees.
Marcelo, if
and
you can hear me
can
okay.
imagine that this forest is healthy and with a lot of biodiversity.
Hey,
but usually,
Marcelo, can you hear me?
The problem we have with hunting and poaching and deforestation, what we have is
Marcelo,
we imagine this forest is healthy. The empty forest syndrome, the most evident ground. If the fruit can be understood as the
Marcelo, if you're able to hear me, I just want to pause.
Reward that the plants produce to the animals disperse their seeds. If putting again the animals that use it to be there.
Okay, so I'm just trying to get a hold of Marcelo because with his internet connection, the screen, it's not doing very well sharing both his voice and connection. But I have a copy of his presentation that I want to share to make it easier for him. So I'm just going to try and call him on WhatsApp because I don't think he can hear me. So just give me a second to see if I can grab him on WhatsApp. And we're just going to restart that presentation because he's got a great presentation. But I don't think he can hear me to know that we've paused. There we go. Hey, Marcelo, I just wanted to pause you because I think you sharing the presentation is a bit too much for the internet because it keeps blinking out and we can't see the slides and you can't hear me. So if you want to stop presenting and close it, and I'll share on my end, and I think that'll work. Okay, perfect. All right, so let's get Marcelo back in here. Okay, Marcelo, can you hear me okay?
Yes, sorry about that.
No, it's okay. It's just you couldn't hear me when I was trying to tell you that the presentation wasn't sharing anymore.
Okay.
But I'm going to share my screen. So we're going to go to Plan B. And it's going to go like that. And then I'm going to go full screen. Can you see it okay, Marcelo?
Yes.
Perfect. I'm going to hide it so that tucks over. Perfect. Okay. So if you want to start again, I think we're ready to go.
Okay, I will. My name is Marcelo Rheingantz, as Joe mentioned, and I work at Federal University of Rio de Janeiro, and I'm Executive Director of Refauna. So please, can you put in the next one, please, Joe? Okay, so when you enter in a forest, as me and Luisa are entering Tijuca National Park, and you see a lot of fruits rotting in the ground, this is the situation that Kent Redford mentioned, that is the empty forest syndrome, because the fruit can be understood as the reward the animals, the plants produce to the animals disperse their seeds. If the fruits are rotting the ground, the animals are not there. So they are not dispersing their seeds. And this forest is a doomer forest because the new plants are not going to germinate and produce new trees. Can you pass again, please, Joe? Okay. So what we are doing is to recover the ecosystem functioning, putting again some key species to restore the dispersal of seeds and the ecosystem functionality. We call this as refaunation. Please, Joe, can you pass again? So we are working this national park as Tijuca National Park. As you can see in the map, that in the left, we use it to have this green, this light green area. It was the Atlantic forest biome. It's the most biodiverse biome in Brazil and one of the most biodiverse biomes in the whole world. But nowadays we have only the darker green areas remaining. So we have a lot of remnants of that you can be understood as islands of forests surrounded by urban or human modified landscapes. So we have a lot of islands of forests that are quite isolated, and the animals cannot go from one forest to another one. They cannot disperse. So they are, we can understand those forests as islands. And Tijuca National Park, this area in the bigger screen, can be understood as one of the most empty forests, the most empty of the whole Atlantic forests remnants. Because as you can see in the map, we have a lot of we have a big city surrounding this area, and as Joe mentioned, this area used to be coffee plantation. So they reforested part of this forest. Nowadays we have 4,000 hectares in Tijuca National Park. But as we used to have a deforested area and then reforested, some of those animals were extinct and they didn't come back. So we need to put them again. Please, Joe, can you pass again? So what we are doing, we mapped the animals that are still there, and we are putting again some of those species. As you can, so we are started with the head-humped agoutis, the one in the top of this slide, the left, and then we put again the howler monkeys, the one in the middle of this screen, and we also put again the tortoises. And we are seeing, please, Joe, can you pass to another one and another one? This is the Tijuca National Park. So this is the head-humped agoutis, and we are releasing them in the forest. Please. So this is the release. We're releasing the animals inside the forest. Please, you can pass again. Another release of agoutis. Please pass again. And this, we are doing the health exams of the tortoises. Please pass again, Joe. So we collected the feces to understand if those animals are healthy. And after we knew they are healthy, we released them in the wild. So we are releasing here, and me and my son Antonio, we released those animals in 2020. Please, next one, please, Joe. So we are releasing them. We released 60 animals, and here is the. You can pass to another one, please, Joe. So this is our howler monkey team, and in the back we have the howler monkey acclimation pen. This is the howler monkey, the male. We call him as Fred, and this is camera trap we use to monitor those animals. You can put in the next one, please, Joe. We installed these camera traps in the canopies, and we could understand the howler monkeys crossing. And as you can see in this short video of this camera trap, we have 7 animals. We have the first one crossing here. We have a lot of, you can see the other howlers. And in the top of the screen, the video, we have a female with a cub in her back. You can pass to the another one, please, Joe. We are monitoring here, monitoring the agoutis and the tortoises. We use this radio tracking So we put transmitters in the animals, and we monitor them, track using these devices. So here is an agouti with the radio collar. And as you can see in this photo is really amazing. This one, as you can see, this is by camera traps, and the agoutis is with a seed in her mouth. Can you pass to another one, please, Joe? And this is the agouti mother with 3 cubs. This was the first release in the second area of Tijuca National Park. So please, you can pass to another one, please, Joe. As you can see here, this animal is really cool. This is the tortoise. And as you can see, it has a radio transmitter in its back. And you can pass to another one, please, Joe. This is another one, and this is Luisa. You can pass to another one, please. Next. This is Luisa. She collected the feces of the tortoises to see which species of plants these animals are eating. So she put the tortoises in this box, and they produce feces inside it, and she collected the feces. And after that, she used this in genetic analysis, and she could understand every single species that these animals are eating. Please pass to another one, please. This is amazing. This photo is the most amazing photo you can expect from one howler monkey. This is Kala, the female, the first female we released in 2015, with the first cub born in Tijuca National Park after 200 years. And as you can see in this photo, Kala is defecating and with a lot of seeds. So we have this. This was the most amazing photo, because we have the first cub and Kala defecating and dispersing seeds. Please pass to another one. This is also Kala. This is in the day of the release. As you could see, she used to have a radio collar in her neck, but after this collar stopped to work, we removed them from Kala. Please pass to another one. This is Fred, the second male that we released in the wild. We released last year. Joe could see those animals acclimating in the forest. Please pass again. So this is the howler monkey also. You can pass again. This is Fred again. Please pass to another one. And this is also Fred. To another one. And now I have the breaking news information. This is the fourth species we are going to release in Tijuca National Park, the blue and yellow macaw. They arrived last week, 4 of them. This is one of them that we arrived last week on Friday. So we have 1 week of them acclimating in an acclimation pen inside Tijuca National Park. Please pass again, Joe. This is another one. Pass to another one, to the next. So this is the first video of them flying in Tijuca National Park after 200 years also. Please, okay, this is the video. So this is the first flight of blue and yellow macaws after 200 years in Tijuca National Park. You can pass, please, Joe, because this video is quite big. Okay, this was one action that we did with cyclists, and they produced those shirts and gave us the money of they bought those shirts and they gave the money to us. So they allowed us to continue with our efforts of howler monkeys. Though this couple, Tatiana and Marcelo, they started this campaign. This was amazing. Please pass to another one. This is Luisa with one agouti tree that started everything. Luisa, as you can see, this fruit is open, and the only species that can open this fruit is the agouti in the top, in the right top. Please pass to another one. And we are also reintroducing the tapirs in another area. And this video is amazing because it's the first cub wild born in Rio de Janeiro state after 100 years of tapirs. As you can see, they have a lot of spots and stripes, and this animal is amazing. Can you play this video, please, Joe?
Yeah, sorry, Marcelo. For some reason, this one doesn't want to start for me.
Okay, no problem. You can pass to the next slide, please. So let's see if this video will work properly or not. Let's see. Okay, this is the agouti eating the agouti tree seed. As you can see, it's open. It is opening it, and this is amazing. You can pass to another one, please, Joe. This is amazing. This was made by camera traps, monitoring the animals in the wild. As you can see, this is another photo that it's what we are expecting. All of those seeds open are agouti trees seeds. So you can see this, and you can see that agoutis are there. Please pass to another one. And they are removing the seeds. So I'm going to finish this part of presentation that one phrase of Carl Jones that for me is the most amazing conservation in the world. And he mentioned that our challenge as conservation biologists is to rebuild ecosystems. We are trying to rebuild the ecosystems, putting those animals back. I'm going to show a short video, and then I'll go to open for your questions. Joe, can you share the video with them?
I think you have the video, Marcelo, unless you...
Okay, I'm going to put here. Okay, present. Let's see.
All right, I see it loading. Here it comes.
Okay.
There we go.
So thank you, Joe, for the opportunity to show a little bit of our work, and I'm open to questions.
Excellent. Well, Marcelo, thank you so much. It was amazing to visit you in Rio, to meet your team, and to see the work you're doing firsthand. Thank you so much for bringing a Darwin leader. I believe it was Joseph you had out in the field with you. That was pretty exciting. I love watching his video about the project. And, you have a really cool job. You are rebuilding an ecosystem. You are, the forest is there now and you are refilling the forest. That must be so exciting for you and your team.
Yeah, it's amazing. And it's the most visited national park in the whole country. Mm-hmm. So we have around 4 million people visiting Tijuca National Park every year, because we have one very important statue inside Tijuca National Park, the Christ, the Redeemer. We have a lot of visitors, and we have this big opportunity to show them about the importance of wildlife and nature.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. One more question for me, Marcelo, and then I'm going to grab some questions from students. So I can see we've got a good group tuning in online. Don't be shy. Use the chat sidebar and send in some pictures, some questions, not pictures. And then I'm going to visit our grade 5 water rockers in just a second. But Marcelo, I'm really curious about the howler monkeys, because I've been to different places like Costa Rica and Peru and Colombia, and you hear the howler monkeys. And I know that was something that you were really looking forward to, was hearing howler monkeys in Tijuca National Park again. And I want to know if you're hearing the howler monkeys again.
Yes, this is amazing. Sometimes they howl and they produce these big sounds that can be heard by kilometers, 2 or 3 kilometers far. You can hear these sounds, and they are amazing. And nowadays we are putting also the macaws, and they are starting to produce their sounds also, and we are having again the sounds coming back to Tijuca. This is really amazing. But they howl, the howler monkeys howl when we have more than one group.
Yep.
And we used to have only one group in Tijuca, and we released the second one last year. And sometimes we can hear them howling now in Tijuca. It's not every time, but sometimes we can. Usually when they have more, the population's number are higher than we have now. We have only 15 animals there now, but when we expect to have hundreds of them in the near future. And when we are going to have them, a lot of groups of them, we are going to hear them howling a lot. And I expect that will be soon. Sarah Darwin was with us in November of 23, and she mentioned to me that in 5 years she would come back and expect to hear the howlers howling. And the week after she left here, they started to howl. This was amazing.
Yeah. Well, to our students tuning in, when we finish today, you should go online and look up howler monkeys howling or calling. It is one of the most amazing sounds you'll ever hear. It is so loud. It is so unique. So definitely look that up afterwards. But let's meet some classrooms. So I want to go to our grade 5 water rockers. How we doing, water rockers?
Hello.
Don't you are? Water rockers.
Hello, everyone.
Bonjour.
All right.
All right. I wonder if we have a couple questions for Marcelo.
We do. Yeah, go ahead.
Excellent.
So just, there you go.
How do you decide when to release the animals into the wild?
Wow, this is a good question. We started with the agoutis in 2010. As we saw those seeds rotting in the ground, and we asked for the manager of National Park that if we still have agoutis there, and we didn't. So we started the reintroduction of agoutis after that, in 2010. And after the release of agoutis, we understood that not only the agoutis were missing, but a lot of important species. And we started to plan the reintroduction. Reintroductions are long-term projects, so we need to plan everything slowly, and we need to check for a source of the animals. Sometimes this is quite difficult because we don't have, how can I say, available animals that have good behaviors to be released in the wild. So we need to train them, and then we release them in the wild. That's why we acclimate them in the acclimation pens. But we decide to release them. We have some priorities. We have the priorities of reintroduction. We start with the lower, how can I say, the lower level of food chain. And then we are going to put the carnivores in the end of the reintroduction plan. So we start with the herbivores that are more generalists. They can eat a lot of kinds of fruits and leaves. And then we plan to put the omnivores and then the carnivores in the end. We are putting step by step. We cannot put everyone in the same moment. I think I answered your question, but if not, I can answer again.
All right. I think you did, Marcelo. I think that's a good plan. Start with the base and then build your way up. All right. Looks like we got someone else coming up.
How many animals have you released into this area?
Wow, this is a good question. Let me see. 60 agoutis, 60 tortoises, 12 howler monkeys, and now we are going to release the 4 first macaws. So 120, around 140 animals. But we need to put more of, especially howler monkeys, tortoises, in macaws. The agoutis are in a good situation. The population is maintaining by themselves. So nowadays you only have wild-born agoutis in the wild. So the first agoutis that we released, they already dead. They are dead. And nowadays we have the grandsons, the grandsons of the first agoutis that we released. This is one of the good results we have. We are still monitoring them, but they are only wild-born now.
All right, very cool. Well, we're out of Water Rockers. I'll check in with you one more time before we say goodbye to Marcelo. Marcelo, I've got some great questions on YouTube. So the first one here is from Miss Scott's class, and this is from Laura. And she is wondering, where do the animals come from? Are they bred in captivity? Where do you get the animals?
Amazing question. This is, as we work with a lot of different species, we do a lot of partnerships with ex situ institutions, for example, zoos and conservation institutions that maintain the animals in captivity. So we do partnerships and we got those animals. Usually they are captive born, but sometimes they are we expect to use some of the animals that were rescued from wildlife trade and rescued in bad conditions in the wild. They are treated, and then we put them in the wild again.
All right. Let's see. We've got a class in Hamilton, Ontario, and they would like to know about how big is the remaining bit of the Atlantic rainforest, and they want to know what's your favorite part about the rainforest? What do you think makes the Atlantic rainforest unique?
Okay. Well, this is a very difficult question, but we have only 12% remaining of Atlantic forest because the the Portuguese arrived in the coast, and the Atlantic forest used it to be in the whole coast of Brazil, as from northeastern part, for example, Salvador City, to Porto Alegre City in the very, very south. And nowadays, the biggest cities in Brazil are inside in what used to be Atlantic forest. So usually we have small patches, small remnants of less than 100 hectares. Those patches doesn't allow to have a lot of big animals. And those big animals, they are really important because they disperse the biggest seeds. You cannot, a small animal cannot disperse a big seed. So those big seeds need to be dispersed by these big animals. And agouti is not a big one because it has around 2 kilos. But as my boss mentioned, agouti can be understood as a pocket megafauna because it's a small animal that can disperse the biggest seeds in the forest. About the second question, my favorite place in the world is Tijuca National Park. I started this connection with this area, and I feel excited to be there. It's really amazing to see the whole ecosystem was reconstructed by humans in the 19th century, and now we are trying to reconstruct the ecosystem functioning. So, and we have this inside Rio de Janeiro city. And when you see Rio de Janeiro and you imagine Rio de Janeiro city or Brazil, you imagine the beaches, the city, and the forest in the back. The forest in the back is Tijuca National Park. This is the most amazing place in the world. So I invite you, when you have the opportunity, to be there once, because this is really amazing. Joe had the opportunity to be with us, and this area is really amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a beautiful, beautiful spot. And then the views as well, when you look out over the city and then over the water. It's beautiful as well. The forest is really special. Okay, so Arshawn would like to know, is it expensive to run a program like this? And how do you raise money? Where does the money come from?
Okay, this is a very good question. Yeah, it's expensive. And we need to raise money from different sources. We need to raise money from source. So we look for big companies, and we have some foundations that finance this kind of projects. For example, National Geographic Society, they gave us a big amount of money in 2020 that allowed us to continue during the pandemic of COVID-19. And this was amazing. Now raising from different sources because we need to continue our efforts and our monitoring of those animals, because the reintroduction is not to put the animals there and it's done. No, we need to monitor those animals for long term to understand if they are reproducing, they are mating or not, if they are giving birth to small cubs, and if they are dispersing their seeds. So we need to understand this, and this is long-term project, and it's expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
It can cost around, how can I say, $200,000 a year to execute this kind of projects.
All right. Okay, I'm going to check in with our water rockers and see if they have another question for us. How are we doing, grade fives? You got another question there?
We have a few more. Hang on one second.
Let's grab a couple. Absolutely.
All right, go for it.
How long do you watch the animals after you release them into the wild?
Very good questions. For example, the agoutis, they live the whole life. They live for 5 years. So we monitor them when we release them, and we expect to monitor them as long as you can. The tortoise can live 100 years, so I'm not going to be here, and I expect not to be here when they are going to die. And the howler monkeys live for 20 years, and we are still monitoring them. But we change the monitoring, how can I say, devices. We start with the transmitters, but the length of the battery is only 1 year, so we need to change the monitoring to camera traps and another, for example, citizen science and another kind of monitoring. But we expect to monitoring as long as you can for the whole animal, the whole species.
All right. Looks like another question ready to go.
How big is the agoutis?
I'm sorry, I lost the question.
Okay.
Can
How
you repeat?
big is the agoutis?
Oh, the agouti, it has 2 kilos and around 40 centimeters. It's
40
a small rodent. And the howler monkey has around, the big male has around 8 kilos. And the tortoises, they can reach 50 kilos.
All right, very cool. I think water rockers, maybe one more if you got it. Yeah, perfect.
How many forests have you traveled to?
Wow, this is amazing. I don't know. But, I have traveled a lot in special Atlantic forests, remnants. To give you a number, around 50 different places.
Yeah, you got to see the places. I'm sure you visit different conservation groups as well. And I bet they come and visit you as well to see the work you're doing.
Yes. We have a lot of sharing of projects and methodologies. We need to share them, and we learn from the others. So this is really important, to go to another place and see what they are doing and to put their methods in our projects. So we share a lot, and we share our problems, of course, and we share our successes of the results, and the good results we share. And this is the most important thing in science, to share and to learn from the others.
All right. Water rockers, thanks for those awesome questions. Thanks for hanging out backstage there.
Thank you, all of you,
Very cool.
to be here with me today.
All right, Marcelo, I'm going to squeeze one more question and then we'll let you go. What should we do? Okay, so this is Nawal is wondering, what has been to date your most exciting, your most thrilling encounter in the Atlantic rainforest?
Well, I think the most exciting situation was when we saw for the first time the first wild-born cub of howler monkeys in Tijuca National Park. This is really exciting, because you see that your work is being done. When you see the first wild-born animal inside of your project, you see, okay, I'm doing well. I'm not mad. I'm not completely insane. I'm doing my job. And now we are seeing a lot of them wild-born. So this is the most amazing situation I ever experienced in the wild.
All right. Well, I want to thank you so much, Marcelo, to you and your whole team. You're doing amazing work. And I can't wait to hear about how the reintroductions go with the macaws. And then I can't wait to hear about the next animal. Do you have a guess as what might be next after the macaws?
Yeah. We are going to release them up to the end of the year.
Yeah.
And tomorrow I'm going to be in another zoo to have more macaws reaching to Tijuca National Park. So we expect to release around 40 to 50 in the next 5 years. So we expect them flying in Rio de Janeiro City, across Rio de Janeiro City, in the next 3 years.
Wow.
50 of them flying away, and the people can see them. It was a pleasure to be here, Joe. Thank you for the opportunity. It was really amazing to share a little bit about our work. And I invite you all to be in Tijuca National Park and see a little bit of what I described here today. It's amazing to be there and to see this happening.
Yes, Marcelo, thank you so much. Have a great rest of the week. And yeah, thank you for being with us today. It was awesome.
Thank you, Joe, and I see you soon.
All right. Thanks, Marcelo.
Thank you all.
See ya. All right. Super cool to get to spend a little time with Marcelo. It's an amazing project. We were so lucky to have our Darwin leader in the field with Marcelo and his team. And I mean, maybe after this event, I'll share some links with you so you can see the Darwin leader's video. Joseph made 3 videos while he was in Tijuca. So what we need to do today to wrap up is we have to look at our experiment from 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, we had an experiment and you had to try it in your classrooms. So I have the results video from Stu here. So just give me 1 second to load it on the screen and we'll take a look at that results video from our experiment from 2 weeks ago with photosynthesis.
Welcome back. How did your photosynthesis experiment go? Well, I can see my one has produced lots and lots of bubbles. You'll notice that the bubbles slowly emerge from the pondweed. They all collect in the funnel and then they congregate and sort of rise up into this test tube. And I can see my test tube's actually floating. This gas inside the test tube should be pure oxygen. You might remember that photosynthesis is a very important reaction. It's the process by which plants use sunlight, or in this case, the light of the lamp, to transform carbon dioxide and water into glucose and oxygen. So all of those little bubbles that we can see emanating from the pondweed, that should be pure oxygen. This simple little process is so important for life on Earth. This is because the oxygen that plants produce is a waste product for the plant, but essential for animals like you and I to survive on. We breathe oxygen, and without plants producing oxygen through photosynthesis, there wouldn't be enough oxygen in our atmosphere for us to survive. It's amazing to think that all around us, every green leaf on a tree and blade of grass is slowly and silently photosynthesizing during the daytime and producing oxygen which we need to breathe.
Okay, so that was our photosynthesis experiment. We were talking about rainforest a couple of weeks ago on Ascension Island, so I thought a photosynthesis experiment would be a good fit. And I want to share a picture here from Miss Roll's class in the UK. They sent us, oops, not a video. I want to share a picture. Let's try that again. They sent us a picture of their results. Let's see, there it is. Here's a nice picture there. So there they are. They had lots of bubbles develop from their plants. So a shout out to our crew in the UK. We may just have to send them another gift card. Remember, if you try the experiments in your classroom or at home and you send in some pictures, then your class has a chance to win a $50 Amazon gift card to try one of these experiments in your classroom. So there we go. We've got a brand new experiment to try this week. Let me bring it up here, and then you can see the experiment and think about if you want to try to grow your own geode in your classroom. So here we go.
Geodes are holes within the underground rock in which beautiful crystals form. Geodes form because minerals dissolved within the groundwater percolate into the cavity and slowly accumulate on the inside of that hole, forming those crystals, often over millions of years. Amethyst crystals often grow within geodes As you can see with this example here, all of these beautiful crystals have grown inwards into this hole in this rock that once was deep underground. As the crystals grow, they grow into one another and form this dense coating, and this develops as a nodule that can be dug up. I've got a couple of geode nodules here, and if I hit them with a hammer, we should be able to see what's inside. So let's have a quick go. Wow, look at all these beautiful crystals in front of this geode. Who would have thought all of these beautiful white crystals were inside what looked like an ordinary rock? It's pretty amazing to think what could be hidden underground. You can grow your very own geodes in your classroom or at home. It's a slightly different process to how they form, but nevertheless it shows how these beautiful crystals can develop. To grow your own geode, all you need is a bag of alum. This is available in supermarkets as well as online. You need some eggshells. You have to be really careful in creating these. What you need to do is boil an egg or two, and with the supervision of a responsible adult, very carefully cut the egg in half lengthways. I used a bread knife with a slight sawing action to slowly cut into the egg. You need to end up with these longitudinal half sections, such as this. Then get a large beaker or jam jar, and ideally, if possible, use distilled water. You can use mineral water or tap water, but distilled water will generally work much better. Then you need some food colouring, some glue, a tiny little pebble, if you can find one, and a spoon. First, get one of your eggshells and very carefully then apply some glue to the inside of the eggshell. I'm just using regular craft glue. I've got a piece of cardboard here to help apply it. You can use a brush as well. Try and get a nice coating of glue all the way through your eggshell. This is very important. You'll see why in a second. Then get your little pebble and apply a little bit of glue to your pebble. This is really important because you're going to need your eggshell to sink. So put the pebble on the inside, and then if you can, very carefully cover the top of your pebble with a bit more glue. So the whole inside of your eggshell is nice and sticky. Then the next bit is quite fun. You can get some of your alum and you have to sprinkle this very carefully all the way through the inside of your eggshell. You've got to get a completely even coating of alum all the way through. I'm just jiggling it around a little bit and hopefully, yep, there should be a nice coating of alum all the way through that eggshell. This is really important because all of these little particles of alum will form the focus of the crystals that you're going to grow. Next, you need to get some warm or hot water and dissolve as much alum as you possibly can to make a saturated solution. A saturated solution means that no more alum will dissolve. I'll just keep mixing this until no more will dissolve inside this solution. I think you can probably take a little bit more. Let's try a couple more spoonfuls. And I think our solution then should be saturated. There we go. I think that's about as much as we're going to be able to dissolve in that amount of water. The next bit is optional. You don't have to apply a food colouring, but I would recommend doing so because it'll make your crystals even more beautiful. I'm going to use purple food colouring, so my geode looks a little bit like this amethyst that we saw earlier. So let's put in a few drops. There we go. We'll give that a mix and make that nice and purple. When the glue on your eggshell is completely dry, which generally takes about 24 hours, you're then ready to put your eggshell into the solution of alum. Then wait a few days and see what happens. You should start to have crystals develop on the inside of your eggshell. Join me in 2 weeks' time to see the results of my experiment here, and send in photos of your geodes as they grow in your classroom or at home. Email them to classroom@darwin200.com. Good luck, and thank you for taking part in growing your very own geode.
Okay, so 2 weeks to give that a try in your classroom or at home. The things that you need are the materials are pretty straightforward. And then if you take some pictures of, well, you're getting it ready and then your finished geodes, you can send them to classroom@darwin200.com. And then the material, the trickiest thing might be finding the alum, but I just did a quick check on Amazon. And it's something you can order from Amazon. It's not very expensive, a few dollars to order a little container of it. And then you could give that a try in your classroom or at home. So there we go. The last thing we have to do before we say goodbye for this week is to look at our curiosity of the week from last week. So I'm going to share that video now. And let's see what the answer is to last week's curiosity.
Welcome back, everyone. Last week, I asked you to try and identify these two fossils. What type of animal are these fossils? Could you identify them correctly? Well, lots of people sent in answers, and many of you got it absolutely correct. These are trilobites. They're one of the earliest forms of arthropods that evolved on our planet. Trilobites no longer exist, but they look a little bit like this guy here. They were marine creatures that would scuttle along on the bottom of the sea looking for food. They came in all shapes and sizes. There are at least 22,000 species that we know of, and probably many more still waiting to be discovered in fossils around the world. They lived for over 270 million years, making them one of the most successful groups of arthropods that ever existed on Earth. They occurred in all shapes and sizes, from tiny little ones, such as this one here, to a slightly larger one, to the biggest species that are known in the fossil record to be over 70 centimeters long. They first evolved around 521 million years ago, and they survived right up until about 251 million years ago, when the last species disappeared and became extinct. Well, did you correctly identify these fossils as a trilobite? Let's now find out who won this week's prize. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.
Okay, let's find out who won this week's prize. It is grade 4-5s in Miss Lightbourne's class in Nova Scotia. They sent in a guess that the curiosity for episode 84 was a trilobite. So good job to our 4-5 students in Nova Scotia. Well, let's give you another curiosity of the week, which you'll have 1 week to send your answers to us. So here is our brand new curiosity.
Welcome back, everyone. For this week's curiosity, I have a fossil. This isn't an animal. It's something much, much older. Look very carefully and you'll see layers and hear this ring-like structure. What do you think this might be? It's one of the oldest forms of life to have evolved on Earth. If you look very carefully, it's made out of a granular sandy-like substance. And it has these distinctive layers or rings, as you can see here. This fossil represents one of the oldest forms of life that evolved on Earth. Can you guess what this might be? Send in your answer to classroom@darwin200.com for a chance to win an Amazon gift voucher prize. And join me next week to find out the identity of this very strange fossil. Good luck and thank you for watching, and see you next time.
All right, there we go. That is your curiosity of the week. You have 1 week to do a little bit of research. Send in your best guesses to classroom@darwin200.com. So 1 week for the curiosity of the week. You have 2 weeks to try and grow your own geode in your classroom. If you visit the Darwin200 YouTube channel or Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants YouTube channel, you can find the recording of this event if you want to go back in time and look at the steps for the experiment or watch the curiosity video again. So there we go. That is the end of this week's World's Most Exciting Classroom. This was our 85th World's Most Exciting Classroom. Next week, same time, 2 o'clock in the UK, 9 a.m. Eastern, we'll have our 86th World's Most Exciting Classroom. And you're not going to want to miss it. We have one of our ambassadors joining us, Darwin200 ambassadors, Jane Goodall will be joining us. So we'll have Jane join us. I think everybody knows Jane and the amazing work she does in conservation around the world. So Jane Goodall is going to join us next week, 19th at 9 a.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. UK time. So yeah, we hope to see your classrooms joining us. Jane will talk for a little bit, and then we'll have lots of time for classrooms to ask Jane lots and lots of questions. So last thing to do today is a shout out to our sponsors, our supporters, our partners, without whom we wouldn't be sailing around the world, hosting the world's most exciting classroom. We wouldn't have researchers from the Explorers Club on board, and we wouldn't have young Darwin leaders joining us to work with people like Marcelo in different stops we make all over the world. So a shout out to them and a shout out to our classrooms. Thanks so much for being with us, and we hope to see you again next week. Hope everyone has a great rest of the week, and we'll see you next Thursday.